Good morning everyone and welcome back to my channel again. I disappeared again and I am very sorry, but we'll just have to start dealing with it because my life keeps getting more and more insane and in all different ways every time that I promise that I'm going to come back. Hello Obelix. Sorry, my dog's he's just here. He's just saying hi. He's not used to me talking to myself anymore. But yeah, a lot has been happening. It went from going fairly chilled and going well to going absolutely insane. Also, if I rock, I'm on a rocking chair and I'm going to try not to, but I can't make any promises, so I'm just gonna hope that you can't see it too much. But I am so glad to be doing a video again. It has been insanely long since I've been doing sit-down videos, so happy to be back. And today's video is going to be a bit of a less needed video. I almost want to, it's not less needed, but less people will hopefully ever need to deal with the situation. And this video is going to be all about just a small amount, really basic, bare minimum tips and tricks of a few things that you can do to help deal with working while studying. For anyone who didn't know, I'm not working anymore also. Very unexpected, like nothing bad happened, there was no negatives connected to it, but it was just not planned to stop working at the time that I did. I worked part-time at a vet practice while I was a full-time student for 6 months and then while I was a part-time student for 6 months, so I worked there for about a year. And I really enjoyed it, it was really good, but it was extremely intense. So just a few disclaimers before I start this video. First off, I did not do great. I mean, in general, except for EQM, which has its equine medicine and surgery, it's the module that I'm repeating at the moment, but except for that one, all my marks did stay consistent or go up after I started working, so I feel like I sort of managed that. I did also burn out severely though, which is why I'm repeating EQM. So I will say that as well. I did not do this perfectly, and I did not follow these hints that I'm giving you today to the T. And I just also want to say that there are a lot of different jobs that are done in a lot of different ways, that have a lot of different requirements. Mine particularly was pretty intense, so do not listen to everything that I'm saying exclusively. Everyone's situation is going to be different, but these are just a few very basic things that helped me. I would just also like to say that vet studies are not designed for students to also be working. So do not think that anything is going to make this easy. I feel like a lot of these tips can help you deal with it, it can help you cope, it can help just lessen the load a little bit, but it's not going to be easy by any means. Like, vet studies are not designed to allow you to do anything else with your life. So it's going to be difficult, it's going to be tough, but hopefully these things can just make a small difference. So let's get right into it. So my first tip is to just use your time wisely. For example, for me, I was really busy working every single moment of the day. We had class from 8 in the morning until 1 in the afternoon. Some days we had practicals after that, but for most days I would then go to work from 2 until technically until 6 in the evenings. That was when the practice closed. But if an emergency walked in at 5:45, we kept working until the work was done. So some nights I would be there until 8, I was there until 9 for a couple of nights, and then after that I would start studying and doing my assignments and all that. So my job was fairly time consuming. I also worked every second weekend, so it really did take up a lot of my time and a lot of my study time. So this tip was really important to me. So what I mean with using your time is if you finish class half an hour early and you have half an hour, then use that half an hour to study. Use that half an hour to be productive. Do something that needs to be done. Added to that, what needs to be done quite frequently for me was just to take a nap. At some point I made the rule, if it's half an hour or less of time that I have, then I'll take a nap. If it's more than half an hour, then I'll study. Because my work was very physically demanding. We worked with a lot of big dogs, we worked with a lot of angry cats, and I was running around the whole day. So I was tired a lot of the time. So if I had 20 minutes, then I would nap for 20 minutes. But if I had half an hour, 35 minutes, an hour that just opened up randomly, which does sometimes happen, I would use that to study for tests, do my assignments, do my quizzes, just use that time instead of sort of just procrastinating and, chilling a bit, and just be productive with the time that you have. It really made the world of difference to use those little moments, because very frequently you'll think like half an hour not going to make a difference. When you have 4 half an hours, you can do a lot with it, especially when you're pushed for time. Your brain kicks in very quickly. So that really helped me a lot. The next tip is to manage your priorities. I'm pretty sure I've talked about my big list of priorities in a different video. I always put myself first, then my family and friends, then vet school, all that. This is a little bit more of a refined priorities list. So, for example, if you have an assignment that's due in 2 weeks, you have a test in 4 days, and a quiz that needs to be done by tonight, obviously your priority list will be to study for the quiz first and to do the quiz, then to study for the semester test, and then to work on the assignment. So have that priority list constantly ready, constantly updated, so that if you have that half an hour randomly opening up, you don't have to scramble for the next 10 minutes trying to figure out what all needs to be done and what can be done in that time. Because for example, in half an hour, you might not get a lot of work done studying for a test, but you can do a few questions for an assignment, or you can do an entire quiz, or whatever. So if you have it just written down in front of you, it's just a lot more productive than scrambling around trying to find what you're supposed to be doing next. And then you're not running up on deadlines the whole time because you didn't know what had to be done at what point. So that also made a world of difference for me. Then the third one took me way too long to figure out. Like I said, I burnt out pretty badly because I didn't really do this one, and that is to just find moments for yourself. Obviously, when you're working and you're studying, it gets very intense, and quite frequently you're dealing with other people and other things that you have to focus on quite a lot. Especially for me, who's an introvert, I don't like that. I want to sit in my room. I don't want anyone near me. Sometimes I'm even tired of the dogs. That is how much of an introvert I am. So I really neglected that. But because I'm also a very productive person and I like being busy, I didn't notice that I was neglecting that. So try and set time aside for yourself very consciously and very specifically. For example, for me, once I realized that I was very badly failing in that aspect, I started taking times when I was driving to just unwind a bit, to just reset myself. I would listen to some music, I'd listen to a podcast, because I'm a daily student, so I have to drive into campus every day. I have to take that 20 minutes to just not be able to study, not be able to work, so I had that time. And so I would just be more conscious about it. Instead of, for example, driving and thinking about my next test, thinking about my next class, thinking about work, I would just really focus on checking in on myself. How badly am I doing at this point? Am I still fine? Listen to a podcast, just completely unwind for a moment. And I really wish that I started doing that sooner, because I feel like it would have helped a lot. Once I started doing it, it did really help me to just calm down a little bit. The next one is a very important one, and I feel like vet students in general tend to neglect this one, but specifically when you're working and you have a lot of things to get done, and that is to be kind to yourself. You are really asking a lot of yourself, especially for me that had a pretty intense work environment. It was highly stressful, it was very time consuming, it was very physically demanding, it really took a lot out of me. So, sorry, there's just a brommer. So for me, it was really important to do this one, and I was really bad at it. Because I like being productive, I like being busy, I like getting things done, I was not very good at being forgiving towards myself if I didn't get something done. So, for example, if I wanted to take a 10-minute nap and I napped for half an hour, I would get so upset with myself. Also, because I'm just really grumpy when I wake up from naps. So, that also played a role in that. But I would get very upset for that if I wanted to study 3 chapters in this hour and I only finished one. Then I would get really upset with myself. I was not very kind to myself in the beginning because I like being productive, I like getting things done, and I didn't like falling behind. But with time and with burnout, I realized that just asking that much of myself, and in essence really punishing myself when I didn't do it, like really just getting upset with myself, getting demotivated, all that, it just made everything so much worse. It was pushing everything back, because then I would be so demotivated that I wouldn't want to do anything else either. So it's very important to be kind to yourself. If you don't get to that section, just accept it. Don't beat yourself up over it. Just keep going. Either leave that section out and move on to the next one, or do that section and just push the rest back. At the end of the day, having a small setback is not going to be the end of the world, and it's not worth beating yourself up over it just for absolutely no reason. It doesn't achieve anything. So just be kind to yourself. Admit that you are doing a lot, that you're achieving a lot, and that it's fine if now and then you are not overperforming at all times. I will also say, back to the priorities thing, is just put vet school before work, because there is no point in having a job to pay for vet school if you're not going to be in vet school. So if you have to choose between work and vet school, if you have that opportunity, go for vet school. It is the most important thing that you're dealing with between those two. So remember to focus on that. It was so easy for me to just go and want to overinvest in work because it was fun. I enjoyed it. I got to physically see the difference that I was making, where in vet school I was preparing for a life of doing that and being able to do that to a greater extent, but it's difficult to stay motivated when you're not physically seeing it. So a couple of times I found myself trying to prioritize work, trying to go to work more, trying to put in extra hours at work when I had a test coming up, when I was supposed to be studying, etc. So just focus on vet school and acknowledge that you're doing a lot and you're doing pretty great. Then the last one, also something that vet students in general could really focus on, and that's just to see the good in what's happening and to focus on it. For example, the other day I was just walking on campus to Raise, and I was just like, oh my gosh, how many campuses actually have all these animals that I'm driving past? It is literally my childhood dream to be able to just on a daily basis get to just walk or drive past horses. And I'm doing that. That's literally what I'm existing for at the moment. I'm a vet student, and that includes just walking past the horses, working with the horses. And I feel like vet students tend to forget how awesome that is, because there's so much stress and responsibilities that come with it. But there are so many students that would literally die for that opportunity. And it's just really cool to just have horses on campus, and dogs and sheep and cattle. It's really cool, and we forget to admit that. Same as with work, it was so easy to get completely stressed up, to completely forget why I'm doing all this, when I am literally saving lives. I mean, to a much more indirect extent for me, because, the vets are making the calls, they're administering the medication and stuff, but I was involved in that. I was able to help animals, make a difference. It was everything I ever dreamed of, but you get so caught up in it that you completely forget to acknowledge how awesome it is. We actually, the last half of the time that I was working there was an unspoken agreement between me and the reception staff. Whenever a puppy walked through the doors, before anything, they would run to the back to come tell me that a puppy just walked through the doors, and then they'd go back and actually deal with the client so that I could run and come say hi to the puppy. Also, people were really nice about it, and it was the highlight of my day. And it is so easy, and so many people at work did the thing of just, oh, it's just another puppy, I see tons of them every day. But it's still a puppy. I mean, come on, guys. This is awesome. And it was really to the point where if we were not busy having an active emergency at the back, the vets would just let me go because I got so ridiculously excited over puppies. And I know a lot of people will not be doing a nursing job while they're studying because of how intense it is, and there's not a lot of opportunity for it. But there are good things in any job that you could be doing. There are good things in any part of your life, and it's just really important to keep seeing it, especially when you're so busy and caught up in everything, because it just makes your day a little bit brighter. And being so stressed with working and studying and everything, it really makes a difference at the end of the day. Well guys, that is all the tips I have for you. I know a lot of them weren't very specific. They are not going to make a big difference in the way that you do it. But the fact of the matter is that all jobs are so different. There is no recipe to make this just work perfectly. There is nothing that is going to make this easy. Vet school is not designed to let it happen that way. So these are just a couple of things that made a small difference to me. And if this can just help one person, then I would be so happy. But I hope that you guys enjoyed this video, and I can't wait to see you guys for the next one. Bye!